Okay, we're in the shed now. Got this thing set up here. We got it on the on the on the meter. We're going to check its B plus. The speaker, I don't know if it has an issue. I tried checking the resistance of the field coil and was coming up with nothing at one point and something on another point, but we're going to give it a shot here and see whether or not one or the other is the case. I've pulled the tubes and checked them before powering this up. One I found was really bad. Of course, the 41s, yeah, the 41s I can't check. Those are 41s. I can't check those. Those are 6-pin. And the rectifier is a typical 6x5, like you'd find in a Zenith. It checks out strong. So we're gonna power it up here on the dumb bulb and get it checked out. Let's see what we got here for. We're about 122 volts on the line. I'm going to bring it up on the 100 watt. Power that up, and this radio is push any one of these to turn on. So we don't have any dial lamps. They must be history. We're pulling 20, 31, 32, 34, 35, and climbing. Looks like it's going to level off here at about 37 or 38. Don't see no glow out of that. I do see some filaments there. Let's see. These two inside here, I think, are tone pots. That is the tuner thing, but there is no dial string. I removed it because it was busted and broken. And the volume is all the way up. Getting a little garbling through the thing. The last three buttons on this assembly is the broadcast, shortwave, and FM. That is full blast. We're pulling 42, 420 on that. We don't have any glow out of that thing yet. Let's see.
Like trying to find a needle in a haystack. InProgress finds qualified candidates for you and invites them to apply. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a qualified.
So we got a pulse. Let's see. Let's put it in the short wave and see. Yeah, of course. No. FM, there won't be, shouldn't be anything. Nothing. So, it could be components. What do we... Let's see what we're pulling. 262. 262 on pin 3 of the rectum fire tube. So now the bad thing about these things here is they're everything has been moved on to here rather than a rotary switch. So this is going to be a little bit more somewhat more complex than the regular wafer rotary switch on earlier Philcos or the other Philcos, in that this is going to be on a rack, and it's going to be really hard to clean the contacts of these, but I think we can get her done because I've done 2 others of these. Okay, there's... So well, we're getting a little something out of this, so we got life anyway. So next thing is to flip her over and pull her guts. So stand by for that. Okay, we got the top stripped down. We're going to get it ready for doing a little bit of cleaning before we do the final refinishing of the chassis. Yet to get this push button assembly removed from the chassis. That is going to be a major undertaking. Yes, if I can get this thing turned up. Without screwing everything up around here. Okay, what I'm going to have to do, I already did 2 of these before, and on the second one, I didn't have to do it on the first, but on the second one, I made up this little sketch of the board on the push button and the connections to it off the board. So, and they go everywhere. So what I'm going to do is, I'm sorry about getting my finger in the way, a fickle finger of fate. What I'm going to do before is I'm going to take and double check these wirings here that come off of this and go to the other components on the chassis, and double check that I've got all of these correctly identified and routed. And then once I get an update and upgrade on the sketch, I'm going to start removing clipping wires and pulling this board out. All this assembly is going to come out. This is for the push buttons. This coil assembly here will come, I think will stay, and I don't remember. God, darn ginkgo is not kicking in and not doing a very good job. If I remember correctly, this stays in the chassis, and the push button assembly comes out. So I'm gonna have to disconnect the power wiring to the switch, and then all of this wire here, like these two leads, will be disconnected and come out, and all of these leads here that come off the antenna connections, those will get desoldered and come off, and all of these here. Now these here can be removed along with the push button assembly, and desoldered and taken off later, since these are not fixed in there and they're just on there with screws. So and this is both assemblies in one mounting, so that will make that a little simpler to do, and we can get down underneath here and do what work we need to do down there. So looks like I got my work cut out for me here. We'll get this thing here verified, adjusted if needed, updated if needed, and then it's snip snip. So stay tuned. Alright, there we are, gutted. A lot of clip clip snip snip, and I pretty much got my little scribblings pretty much correct. Well, as a matter of fact, 100% correct as far as I could tell. Each checking each wire to the board, it checks out to the right spot. It can. Here's what the underneath looks like. It is pretty doggone grody. It's too bad. It's too bad that they didn't reverse this assembly so that the board, the phenolic, would be on the top. But with it facing up when the chassis is upright, it allows for all the dust and shit to collect up in here, and consequently it's very difficult to get clean. Fortunately, these things here, these pins are, I get this stuff out of the way far enough where I could point at something. These little pins, well, they're not really pins, they're more like tabs, and there's little shoes on the bottom of this, much like a slider switch would have, and all it does is just slide onto these tabs, making the connection. It's more of a shorting connection, you know, not like a switch, off-on switch, but it slides onto this tab and another tab back in there, shorting the two to each other. So that would it would make it a hell of a lot easier for it to not accumulate so much junk on it. But fortunately, once you get it out, you can get in here and clean them with a tiny brush or what I use. Let's see if I got something here. Yeah, I get these pipe cleaners, and they're pretty scruffy on them. They feel like almost like little teeth on the thing, real fine, real fine. And I use brake cleaner. I use that non-chlorinated brake cleaner. Doesn't leave a residue. And then I go over it with some of this electronic cleaner, and it does the trick. Gets it pretty doggone cleaned up. So what I'm going to have to do is get this. Look at that. I mean, that's because it points up. If it was opposite and pointed down whenever the chassis was upright, you wouldn't have all that mess on there. You'd have it on the other side. But we're going to strip this down as much as we can, and then we're going to give it a dip, with the exception of these things. But we'll give it a good brushing and everything. This here will have to be, the mount on it is broken, so I'm going to have to take and get my big finger out of the way. I'm going to have to take and get me a 1/2 inch dowel. I think it's a 1/2 inch dowel, and shape it and stick it into this tube. Tack it in with some glue adhesive, and then what we'll do is we'll drill a hole in this mount right here for a small metal screw that will go up into that dowel and hold that thing into place. That stuff there, I don't know, it was stressed somehow. This stuff is very, after this period of time, it's very brittle, and you're lucky to get these things off of here without busting the mounting part of it. But it doesn't, at least it doesn't render it unusable. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to go ahead and start doing a search and destroy on all the paper caps in here, and all the wiring that needs to get replaced is going to be replaced. There's quite a bit of it in here that might be questionable. All the stuff that I have cut to remove this thing, all of this stuff right here, it is going to get some of that is going to get removed and replaced. So stay tuned, we'll be back.